raindrops, and welcome to the very first reaction cloud. I'm so excited to be able to do this. I've recorded this video multiple times, I have edited the same video multiple times, and I'm trying to get this to you, and hopefully this one manages to get through. I've been having some difficulties, and unfortunately we're gonna have to, watch this anime a certain way. And I got to thinking, why is me sitting here and doing this anime so damn hard to do when I see a bunch of people reacting to, shows and movies and stuff like that. And they have it like in the big screen and they're like in the corner, like why? And then it hit me. How did I used to watch anime when I was little? Before I found, those very shady websites. YouTube, in parts. The YouTube video, like the little anime being here, the rest being like, blank space and like a bunch of different things popping up and ads, whatever. And then like the little anime right here. And then sometimes you had to watch it in parts. But if you got the full episode all completely in one video, that is a win. That is a win. That was a miracle. So, thank you to those people for being my childhood, and fuck you for being the reason why it's so hard to react to this anime. Or at least I think. That's my guess. But that's just a theory, okay? That's just a theory. Okay. So because of that, I'm gonna go over here, and I'm gonna be here, towards the corner, and the anime is gonna be right there. Because of that, because, we can't have good things. Let's go straight into it, because I said so. Also, forgot to mention, I'm going to be doing some crocheting, so don't mind me as I'm crocheting and watching this. This is a rewatch, and it's going to be a lot of me talking about my, what's it called? My commentary. There you go, words. I'm actually going to go insane, like actually. I forgot to record audio, so I just recorded the show, but there's no audio. Why is there no audio? I recorded with audio. Why is there no audio? I'm going insane. Actually, I'm gonna cry. I can't. Fuck it. You guys aren't having audio for the show. No, I'm not dealing with that anymore. Fuck that shit. No, I think that's, I'll talk about it once the scene is over, or no, I'll talk about it right now. I think that's a very interesting, intro. And then we get Izuku's narration here. The whole, here's the sad truth, yeah. Oh, it got stuck. There you go. I think that's a really good intro to the anime as a whole. Having, we don't know what a quirk is. We don't know what this is. We see these kids with powers. It's a very intriguing start to begin with. It's intriguing to start that way, to start the whole thing like that. So I do really enjoy that start. I wouldn't change anything about this. I would take out this, little Izuku Midoriya. We could defer his name later down the road. Like, we don't need that whole, this is Izuku Midoriya. I'm muting the intro because there's no way I'm not going to get striked down by the copyright laws. Gods, right? If I kept the intro music or anything like that, because, I do like this intro, the whole showing us the name. It is a really big cast, so I'll let this slide, just because they're so iconic as well. I do really hate how the books were heavily hinted at that they were going to be like this big thing, or like they set them up so perfect, but I'm going to pause because next scene I really want to talk about, but they set them up so perfectly to be something big, and then they fumbled the bag. I mean, think about it. The book set up Izuku's personality in the sense that Izuku is an analyst, right? Because he has no quirk, because he can't just beat villains by brute force, he has to beat villains by smarts. And just imagine that, like, it's an interesting premise, especially considering Izuku later down the road gets a quirk. Oh no, it's guts. Oh no. Oh no. We have a gut emergency. We gotta perform surgery. Okay, how the fuck did this happen? Okay. This is what happens with what's it called? With crocheting. Especially when you pull it out from the this is my yarn. When you pull it out from the inside, from the middle here, a lot of times that happens. They start to unravel that way, and it's just how the cookie crumbles. So, uh, normally maniacs just start pulling on both ends, but you can't do that. You have to slowly unravel it and then start pulling because clearly there is a tangle here. And there you go. There it is. Boom. Got it untangled. Problem solved. But as I was saying before I got interrupted by that mess, we get set up with Izuku obviously being quirkless, right? We don't know what quirkless is yet, but clearly we see that those other kids had powers. He doesn't. And later down the road, we find out, okay, in this episode, he has no powers in a world where powers is the normal, right? And clearly, these books hint at the fact that because he has no power, instead of having to, survive and become a hero via brute strength, he has to do it with his mind and intelligence. And then add that to the fact that he later down the road gets a quirk. I think certain elements should have been thought about. Think about it this way. If someone who has their whole life have to be smarter than everybody else to survive, right? Whether this also has to be with the whole like I feel like what fan fiction does better in Izuku Midoriya as a whole in a character wise is that a lot of the times in animes, oh, this is a different sorry, I'm just okay. A lot of the things that I see that the fan fiction Izuku Midoriya or fan in Midoriya that I love a lot more in fan fictions than I love in the show is that while Izuku in fan fiction sometimes does get the what's it called all one for all quirk, it does not mean that his behaviors of when he was quirkless all of a sudden dissipate. Just because he has a quirk does not mean all his quirkless behaviors dissipate. Like for example, fanfiction Izuku that I see a lot of the times, Izuku ends up having to be resourceful. He has to be constantly aware of who's inside constantly aware who's in the room, whose powers is who can attack me, who seems to be like against me, or who has body language to, admit that, this person is a little, ticking time bomb or stuff like that, right? Where are my exit strategies? Those are my exit strategies, all that stuff, right? So I feel like what fanon gets a whole lot better than canon is not erasing the fact that Izuku used to be quirkless. I mean, I see that the canon, obviously the main My Hero Academia main, the show does try to do this in the sense of Izuku's very like, in the beginning of the show, he's very like awkward, socially awkward and stuff like that, and that could be signs of like, oh yeah, because he was quirkless and people didn't really hang out with him and stuff. But think about this: if Bakugo was one of his bullies, right? Wouldn't he like you just have to think about this in a rational standpoint. Like, it's not just a silly, oh, I'm just a little quirky, I'm just a little, can't pronounce my words sometimes, quirky, hee hee haha. Bullying doesn't do that to you. Bullying traumatizes a child. Bullying has people thinking in survival mode constantly. Like, that's where they fumbled the bag. Now on to this. We have them looking at each other. This is a big symbolism of their relationship, right? Or friendships. I'm going to pause because it's going to go into the next area, but little kids them are looking at each other, but there's still that barrier in between them. And then we get to them again, except they're looking away from each other. They're looking troubled. They're looking puzzled. And then we obviously get a close up. This barrier is bigger. They finally turn and look at each other, and it's what's it called? There's no longer a barrier, but they're still fighting. They're still not on the way. I feel like season 1, we do see hints at Bakugo's character development and the whole development within their friendship and stuff. I know a lot of people say like, oh, Bakugo doesn't change, stuff like that, but like we see the gradual changes, and I'll point them out when I see them, right? They're gradual stuff. It's why people don't really notice it unless you like you sit down and you're like, I remember I was scrolling through TikTok once and I saw someone in TikTok talking about Bakugo as a character, and their point, there was like a video where they said, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find it, but they said, not, and I quote, but they said something along the lines of, season 6 Bakugo and his quote unquote redemption arc and his whole apology came from like the south side, like came out of nowhere. There was no explanation. It seems unreasonable, right? And then, I'm sitting here and I'm just like, no, it did not come from like South Field. It didn't just come out of nowhere. It wasn't like a what the fuck, this makes no sense kind of thing. The thing happened gradually, and I'll point it out every time I see it when we're rewatching the show together, but it came out gradually. Gradually it came out. It's not a out of nowhere this kind of happened. No, it gradually came out, and I'll point it out, right? What did come out of left field, and what I see people, being like, oh, well, he apologized, he's making up for it, is Endeavor. Endeavor's came out of the left field. Endeavor's redemption arc was fucking bullshit. Look, you cannot redeem a character that awful that quickly. Bakugo's redemption wasn't something that happened within 1 or 2 seasons. It's a thing that is happening and has been happening for 1 to 6 seasons. I'm not saying season 6 Bakugo is 100% healed, he's 100% a better person. No. But he is far better than season 1 Bakugo. And that transformation is over a year time lapse. Right? A year and a half, a year, like a good year at the very fucking least. Probably more, probably a year and a half if we're being honest. That does not, or probably 2 years, right? Because we see the whole thing start to progress in the Sledge villain attack. I'll talk about it in the next episode, but we don't see the immediate change in Bakugo's character because that is what real life redemption looks like. Right? And so when I see people defending Endeavor, but, condemning Bakugo, I'm confused because I'm like, you're condemning Endeavor, whose redemption arc was rushed. I'm not saying that Endeavor is he's a horrible character. But I'm not saying that he, look, if Horikoshi would have taken the time that he took for Bakugo's character on Endeavor's character, he could have been at least somewhat redeemable. I never would have forgiven Endeavor because I feel like what Endeavor did was it was pushing it. Bakugo's is pushing it. Endeavor, there was a line, and you're like 5 feet away from the line. 5 feet. Not 5 feet, 5 miles. Not 5 feet, 5 miles away from the line. Like, my dude, what the fuck? Like, Jesus Christ, like, he's the reason why there was a villain. He's the reason why one of his children is, emotionally what's it called, emotionally stunted. There you go. You're the reason why your wife is in a mental fucking hospital. Your one of your sons fucking hates your guts. Your other daughter is so distraught about the broken family that they would rather have a broken family that is, fake and dysfunctional than not have a family at all. Like, dude, you traumatized a whole group of people. All Bakugo did was really, really traumatize Izuku, but he's making up for it, and it's slow, and it's whatever. Point taken, as I'm just saying, Endeavor's redemption arc was super rushed, while Bakugo's is meticulously thought out for. It's in the intro. It's literally not in the first episode, but in the second episode is when we see little things that he's starting to move forward with. And, yeah. Also, this is gonna have a lot of spoilers. Duh. So, spoiler warning. I'll probably, tell you guys in the beginning, have a little time lapse or so. I don't know. I'll do something. But spoiler warning, I will be talking about a bunch of things that happen in the future that correlates with this past. Just FYI. Like, for example, here, where we see Kurogiri, he's about to pop up. Where is he? There he is. Turning over to Aizawa, linking to the whole, not linking, but hinting at the whole Aizawa and Kirigiri having some sort of connection, clearly because Kirigiri is Oboro, and you know. I also love this shot where like we get flashes of, Izuku's fist and All Might's fist, hinting at the fact that they're gonna be one. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this with a passion. We do not need to be explained, like a baby that, oh, the first thing, the baby, blah, 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 quirks are this. We lived in a superhero world. We can defer that. All right? This minute and a half or however long this fucking shit is could have been used to, further anything else but this. Right? We don't need the whole thing. In fact, I think I would have just later just have All Might walking through, having that little, to have that, and then cut over to, this, right? Giving us, or even All Might doing that, I would have probably taken that out either. I don't know if I would have kept that. What did I do wrong here? I did something wrong there. I wouldn't have kept that. Oh, I see what I did wrong. The string is wrong. I love that. I got held up trains out another villain. It really gives the whole. I also love the fan people there for a second. I'm gonna pause because there's gonna be a line here that I want to talk about, but the whole another villain. It gives us again another perspective of this world. So this, what we're seeing, well, we're thinking like, oh my god, right? To them, it's another Tuesday, just another like another villain got out. The way the voice actor also did it was like another villain, right? Like it gives us the illusion of this is just a regular day occurrence. This isn't something that's like super to be like, oh my god, right? Like, oh fuck. No. It's a regular occurrence that happens. It's just another Tuesday, another day, another sleigh, We're not going to talk about that. We're not. No, we're not going to talk about that. But it's just another occurrence, and it gives us a little bit of a view of the world building instead of a narration of Izuku. Tell me, what do you think is more impactful in telling the story, and which one's a little less annoying? Izuku's narration being like, we live in a superhero world society where superheroes and villains are the norm. Or seeing that scene of the guy just being like another villain attack, right? I feel like it's better the second one, the latter, because you're not being treated as a baby, right? You're not being mouth fed this information, because mouth feeding information could get annoying, right? I'm not saying that My Hero Academia as a whole is fucking horrible. I love My Hero Academia. As much as I'm shitting on it right now, I'm telling you guys right now, I love My Hero Academia as a whole. My Hero Academia is one of my favorite animes. It's one of my favorite things. It's a whole obsession of mine. I could prove it, and My Hero Academia is something that I absolutely love, right? I mean, obviously, uh, I fear when I take this off, I'm gonna have hat hair. I didn't think this through. I didn't think this through. I'm gonna have hat hair now. Okay, hold up. There's a mirror right there. At least, do I look good at least with this on? It's not that bad. I'll keep it. I'll keep it on. I'll keep it on. It's not that bad. Um, not horrible. How long is this? Needs to be longer. It's not that bad. It's not that horrible. I could work with this. I could work with this. Okay, but I want to talk about all the fans that we saw. The whole, oh my god, Kamini Woods. It also, that whole fans being there gives us the first glimpse on what it is to be a hero and how it's just a popularity contest, especially the hero polls. It's a popularity contest to a certain degree. I hate this too. Like, I know what you are, a fanboy. I don't like it that much. It's again the oversimplification. It's one that I'll let slide. They could have probably made it a little more organically, but the dialogue was a little iffy. Trust me, the incarnation of evil does not look like that. The incarnation of evil. Oh, before I go that, Izuku's gonna The preemptive binding. The fact that Izuku and Kamini both said the big move together gives us the hint that, Izuku's a huge Hero fan. Hero fanboy. We didn't need that whole guy being like, you're a fanboy, right? It wasn't needed, as I said. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm pausing because I'll talk about that in a second. I want to talk about evil. Kamini Woods, what do you mean assault and robbery is the incarnation of evil? My dude, you haven't seen the incarnation of evil. But then again, I wouldn't necessarily say like I'm going to change that line, because that line is actually kind of important. I do like that line because it gives us the whole view that regular heroes like Kamini Woods, especially down the line, don't have to deal with super powered heroes like All for One, right? For them, this is the incarnation of evil. This is their big, this is like, they don't have to fight that much, because why? It gives us the especially down the line, gives us the whole perspective for like rewatchers like me, for example, where like, oh shit, right. Heroes like Kamini Woods, Death Arms, even Endeavor, they don't even have to worry about big, horrific, literal incarnation of evil.
Nos vamos.
Okay.
Okay. Si ocupas ir a la tienda, puedes agarrar el carro.
Okay. Literal incarnation of evil. I was having a whole point. I got interrupted. Hold up. I'll get the point. Oh yes, they don't have to deal with literal incarnations of evil like All for One, because they have a superhero, All Might, there. Which again gives us the whole background of All Might having to pull all the punches and hold basically all of Japan behind his back. So I do really like that line, and I do really like that. It's something that, it's a small little detail that won't always go noticed, right? But when noticed, it gives it that much little extra powwow. I know I add a bunch of small little details into my works, my stuff, my everything that might not always get the center front view, but adding those little touches can just add that much strength to a story and stuff like that, Obviously not neglecting the bigger picture, but once you have the bigger picture, adding these smaller little details, it's like, it's hard to explain, but as a writer, as a creator, as an artist, those small little details that often go overlooked, for you, it's like you're proud of that, Now I want to talk about this whole piece of cake for the world's hottest, next hottest hero. I don't know her whole line. And you don't have to worry about this bum anymore. This is the first shot we see, the first introduction we see of female heroes. I'm gonna pause because I want to talk about his narration in a second, but this is the first shots we see of a female superhero. And what is it? Her sexualization. My Hero Academia, when it comes to women, can be a little sexist. A lot sexist. And you cannot tell me I'm wrong. I could name a couple characters, and your ass is gonna shut the fuck up. Midnight, Momo's outfit, Hagakure's outfit, a little bit of Uraraka's outfit, Mineta. Anyways, but point taken is, the first introduction we see of a female hero happens to be Mount Lady. What is Mount Lady doing? This is her debut, and she's already sexualizing herself and stuff like that, right? Or at least I think this was her debut. I was under the impression that this was her debut, but whatever, right? Over-sexualizing herself, she's, look at me, I'm here, whatever, right? I feel like My Hero Academia as a whole missed the mark when it came to, what's it called? Female heroes. I feel like what would have been amazing if they laid out the whole they laid out foundations for this, but then they never touched upon this, which is, what if, we saw how, hold up. No, never mind. That's just how it's drawn in the background. Because I'm like, is there like explosions in the background? Why is it being portrayed as if like this whole place is like under attack the whole time? But no. But as I was saying, where female heroes have to do this, have to sexualize themselves, or like that one lady in the internships where they have to like be models and do this and do that and like all this stuff, right? I feel like it would have been amazing to see female heroes, or like for example maybe somebody like a female hero talking to, or even Midnight being like, hey, can I get all the girls, just a little, to myself, right? And Midnight talking to the girls being like, hey, if you want to succeed in this man dominated world, you have to do this, you have to do that. Unfortunately, that is how the cookie crumbles. That is how Echo Bro is here. Don't get closer.
Fun fact.
Fun fact.
Onions have layers.
Are you watching Shrek or something?
No, I'm just
Hold up. Can you give me, grab the end piece of that? All right. What did you come in here to tell me? Or not, or leave. I have a lot of people interrupting me. But point taken is, I feel like My Hero Academia as a whole missed the mark when it came to its female characters. I feel like it missed the marks in a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. It fumbled the bag. It fumbled the bag. I mean, like, how amazing would it be to have a story about why was there two? Why was there two? Why was there two? Oh, I see why. Okay, I see where I did my mistake. But they fumbled the bag. They fumbled the bag. Again, we don't need this narration. It's oversimplification. It's baby feeding. It's annoying. Again, I don't think we need Izuku telling us that their careers depended on this. Blah, 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 blah. Hate that. Again, this hints at the fact that Izuku is an analyst. But then we never touch upon it ever again. I mean, we do kind of further down the line, but it's always like, I don't know. I feel like they could have touched upon it a whole lot better. I also hate the Star Boy being like, do you want to be a hero? Do you want to be a hero? Blah, 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 blah. I feel like a better way to show that Izuku wanted to be a hero is this scene. Don't let me in with these bunch of losers. I'm the real deal. These guys would be lucky to end up with a sidekick to some busted D-lister. I fucking hate my lisp. It doesn't let me say that line. I'll take you all on. I also don't think the teacher should have, looked at the tablet like, oh, you gotta. I feel like the teacher should have just known. You know? You cannot tell me the teacher did not do that on purpose. Look at his smug face. Look at that smug face. We also get into discrimination in this episode, but then it's never touched upon again. Like, for example, this right here. All of this is happening. And the teacher is doing absolutely nothing. You cannot tell me that this is not discrimination at its finest, but it's never touched upon ever again. It's just, oh, hee hee ha ha, that happened in the first episode. Hee hee ha ha. This scene, that is anxiety. You cannot tell me that that isn't anxiety. We set up Izuku having anxiety, but then again, we never touched upon it ever again. Like, dude. Ugh. It's green. This is green. That's like a murky, ugly green, though. Ugh. Also, this is the first thing we see of All Might, which is like his little form and then him transforming into his big form. Also, miraculous logic. What if somebody saw you, All Might? Like, not even trying to hide? Like, I thought miraculous was bad with that, but like, goddamn, that's worse. You'll understand in a second. There it is. This could also have shown us that he wanted to be a hero because the hero notebooks literally say hero notebooks. Like, ego. Don't even think of applying. I forgot about the or else. Fuck. There actually might be another way. Just pray that you'll be born with a quirk in your next life and take a swan dive at the roof of the building. Anxiety right there. I do like this flash scene, especially after a low moment. This is like the flash scene. This flash scene serves to show us that Izuku really loves All Might. I mean, clearly, look at that. I also would never take it away because of this. Can we talk about how this is supposed to be All Might's debut, but we've seen All Might when he was younger, and that's not what he looks like. Like, that's how All Might looks like now. Young Might looks different. We've seen him in the movies and stuff, but I'm not going to touch upon that. I also really do like that this flashback goes straight into the Doctor flashback, but I feel like I would cut off some of the... No, I'll keep the Doctor flashback, considering doctors do tend to oversimplify and explain things. It's literally their job. Again, why do we never see Hisashi? Like, Hisashi Midoriya? Like, why don't we never see his father? What happened there? Why is his father just absent? Oh, that's engraved into that. I accidentally crocheted my hair into that. I do think that this next scene, I'm no longer keeping in this episode. This next scene, I'm moving it over to episode 2, and I'll tell you specifically when I would move it into. I would move it into when All Might confronts Izuku at the end of episode 2, being like, you can be a hero. But before he says you can't be a hero, we get this flashback, and we get Izuku's little narration at the end. We'll get to it in a second. Imagine that. There was only one thing I wanted to hear, and then we cut over to All Might, saying, you too can be a hero, right? I feel like that would have been impactful. Or maybe not even have Izuku's narration, and just having, the flashback of, like, Izuku, like, can I still be a hero? The mom saying, like, I'm sorry. And we cut back to All Might saying, like, you can be a hero. And Izuku crying and sobbing because finally someone acknowledged the fact that he could be a hero. I also really love the idea of using the sludge villain, specifically for Bakugo's character, as a whole, symbolism for change and stuff like that. Obviously, the sludge villain was a big change for Izuku. It was a big change for Bakugo as well. But mainly Izuku and Bakugo in a sense as well. The sludge vision is Bakugo's and Izuku's first ever real encounter with a villain, which I feel I'll talk about more in episode 2. All right, let's talk about All Might here. This wait for it. That is not how you wake up someone. Look, do I think All Might is a horrible character? No. I think All Might is a very interesting character. He has a lot of symbolism with America. That's something that I've noticed in rewatching and having to redo this video over and over again, which is why I have so much opinions on this episode, because I've had to record this billions of times over and over and over and over and over and over and hear myself talk about it over and over and over and over and over and over. It's why I could crochet and know what's happening in the episode. There's the whole thing. But as I was saying, All Might is not a horrible character. I just feel like sometimes he's a little stupid. He's what I would like to call all bronze, no brain. I'm not saying he's like completely stupid, like idiotic in the sense of like, oh, he doesn't like, he's stupid, but in the sense of like sometimes he doesn't stop and think. Not calling for paramedics after, Izuku just went through this traumatic experience. There very much could be, something wrong. There could very much still be some slug stuck in Izuku's lungs, meaning, that could cause infection, that could cause death, that was kind of reckless of him. This again, doing all that when Izuku could very much fall. Yuicore? Who said that? Oh my god. I would not have these specific voice lines in the background. I would have different voice lines, like different times Bakugo would turn down Izuku, or different people in his life saying like, oh, well maybe you shouldn't do that because you're quirkless and you're not like other kids. You're just a little weak. Or, you know, people literally being like, ugh, people like you should die, you know, stuff like that. See more of that. Give me more discrimination is what I'm saying. This next line I have fucking beef with. You are not a normal kid without any powers. The idea of normality is a social construct and a construct that changes within regions and within places. So while, let's say for example, in Japan, it is normal to call someone their last name. I'll talk about that in a second. But it's normal to call someone by their last name in obviously Japan, right? Instead of saying people's first names, you say people's last names. And once you finally gain somebody's trust and, you know, you're fully actually, you know, close with someone, you say their first name, right? That is normal. Here in America, that is not normal. That is abnormal, right? That is considered abnormal, right? Normality is a social construct and a construct based upon the surroundings that you are in, based on the norms of where you are at. So think about it this way. In a society where 80% of the population has a fucking quirk, a kid without a quirk would be considered abnormal, not normal. Especially considering it seems like Izuku and one other character are the only characters we've ever seen in the show be quirkless. Izuku, you are not a normal kid without powers. You are an abnormal kid without powers because your lack of powers is what makes you abnormal. In our basic society, yes, Izuku would be a normal kid, but in his society, he would be considered an abnormal kid. Just like how Bakugo in his society is a normal kid, put Bakugo in the real world, he is no longer normal. He is not the norm. He is an abnormal kid. I also hate the whole standing in front of me was the hero I idolized most of my life. We can defer that. Stop saying that. I do like this. I didn't realize at the time that change Accenture would, you know, I kind of like it. I wouldn't change it. All right, so that was episode 1. Hopefully, the YouTube gods don't spite me down. Now, in my reaction videos, I'm not always going to be crocheting the whole time. I'm crocheting in this one because this is a rewatch of My Hero Academia, something that I've watched this episode in the last 2 weeks, a total of 5 times. So, the lines that I was like sitting there and rephrasing, some of them I memorized from like way back. Like the Swan Dive building, I know that one by a heart. Heartbeat, I know that one. That one is just, it's such an iconic line. It's such a line that everybody always talks about, right? All the other ones, for the most part, I memorized because of the times that I've watched it. And I'm just estimating 5 times, probably 6 or 7 if I'm being honest with you. Because I've had so much troubles with this bullshit. So hopefully this is the last time I record episode 1. I hope this is the last time I have to record episode 1. Because, look, I love My Hero Academia, but I'm not doing that again. Now, onto my love for My Hero Academia. I know half of this was me sitting here being like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like that, I would change this, I would change that. My Hero Academia as a whole is one of my favorite animes. I love it. I am low-key obsessed with it. I mean, I'm obsessed. Also, that's water damaged. That's water damage because, what's it called? This, how do I do this? This removes from here, and this is a clear case, and this is paper, right? So that you see is water damage of when water gets in between the case, this case thingy, and this, right? And it makes water damage. And unfortunately, I've been trying to preserve it because this is a custom-made phone case. And I don't want to have to reorder it, but I will if I have to because it's a racer mic. If I have to, I will. Do not test me. I will if I have to. Right? But as I was saying, My Hero Academia is one of my favorite shows. It's one of my favorite animes. It's an all-time favorite. I mean, why wouldn't it be? My Hero Academia is so good, if I'm being honest. Obviously, it has its flaws. It has its flaws, right? Like any anime would. And as much as I love it, it's also why I acknowledge its flaws. And I acknowledge that My Hero Academia as a whole is is flawed. It's, as much as I love it, there is moments that they fumbled the bag with female characters, with Izuku. There's obviously moments where it's like, oh, they did wonderful stuff, like with Bakugo. I'm gonna crochet here so it doesn't look like I'm looking down. Um, like with Bakugo, you know? But clearly they fumbled the bag sometimes. It's not going in, go in. And as I love it, and I've always been obsessed with it, but it isn't a masterpiece. It could have been. It has potential. It has lost potential. It just never reached that mark. Never hit that spot, and it never will. Unfortunately, that is just the reality that we live in. I mean, they tried to regain all the moments that I would have loved to see in the actual anime in season 6. They just, it's a whole thing about pacing sometimes, you know? Um, and obviously, there's moments that I would change. And throughout the rewatching of this, I'll tell you what I would have changed. This is going to happen a little less as we go further into the seasons, because further down into the seasons, they actually get way better. Like, for example, all the flashbacks and over explanation lessen, at least from my memory, the further down we go into the show. So they do get a handle at it. I think they just have a really rough start sometimes. And in this case, they did. Okay. We're taking that off. It's hot. And I have hat hair. No. Okay. Where's my volume? Where's there it is. Okay. But unfortunately that's just something that happened. It is what it is. It happens. Stuff goes on. Hopefully this video actually gets uploaded. I really hope this video gets uploaded, because if it doesn't, I'm gonna go insane. Insane, I tell you. Insane. Alright. Let me show you what I've done throughout this whole video. So, I did all this. I'm crocheting kind of slowly. It's way more vibrant in, what's it called? In person than it is here. This looks like a dark forest green, but it's actually a bright, like, tree green. And I also did all this. This is the base. Now, if you are wondering what I am making, I thought it would be interesting to work on my cosplay for My Hero Academia while I'm sitting here watching My Hero Academia. So this is supposed to be a certain scarf, you know, capture scarf. Now, the reason why it's green and not gray is because, one, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. 2, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. 3, this is supposed to be Izuku Midoriya's capture scarf. Also, be expecting a video about me talking and, not talking, but fixing up some My Hero Academia wigs, because I bought some wigs off of Temu. Not sponsored. I bought them with my money. These wigs ended up costing me, I think I ended up getting 4 wigs. Yeah, 4 wigs for like less than $30. Because some of the wigs, okay, so some of them cost 10. I think the one that cost the most was 10, but for the most part, they were like $5, $6 each. So they were cheap. All right, they were cheap. I think in total my payout was like $50, but I bought some other stuff apart from that. I bought some stuff, I bought a sweater for my cat. I bought some other stuff for myself, some stuff for my hair, and then some stuff for styling that wig's hair. Not necessarily products, but, you know, hair clips, brushes, stuff like that. Specifically a comb for wigs, because I don't have a comb for wigs anymore. Stands for hair, stuff like that, you know. So be expecting a video of that soon. It's gonna be fun to, you know, see if I could cosplay with really cheap ass wigs. I mean, I used to cosplay. I used to cosplay. Actually, my first ever cosplay was Izuku Midoriya. That was my first ever cosplay. I've liked My Hero Academia since I was in middle school. It's one of my favorite things. It's been an on-off relationship, all right, with My Hero Academia and me. This is the longest it's been on. And I think it's here to stay, considering my obsession has not died down. If I walk past the store and I see something My Hero Academia, like any My Hero Academia merch, let's just say I'm broke for a reason, okay? But My Hero Academia was my first ever cosplay. Izuku Midoriya was my first cosplay. My second cosplay was Katsuki Bakugo. My third was Todoroki, Todoroki Shoto, right? Or Shoto Todoroki, right? So, I have my fair share with cosplay things. I bounce off hobby from hobby. Like for example, this what I'm doing here is a hobby I learned about 2 years ago and I somehow still remember how to do. Right? I'm not doing any sort of pattern that I found online. I'm making a scarf. It's not that hard. I'm just doing a typical two loop crochet. I don't know what this is called. Which is just like, hold up. I'm showing you my technique. Give me a second. So, we loop around, we pull it into here, we pull, loop around, pull through two, pull through two. I don't know what the stitch is called. I forgot what the stitch. It's single stitch. I think it's two doubled stitch or something like that. I don't know. The stitch is called it's called 3, 4, 5, 69, 35, 420, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, double number 5. Taylor's version. I'm sorry. Look, I'm still salty when I was learning how to crochet because some of the people, like, they're like, okay, now you're going to insert it into the, ooh, you almost saw which, where I was inserting the hook. You can't see that. You can't see that. You can't see that. Ugh. It's a pain in the ass. Pain in the ass. But whatever. I'm making this. I do know how to redeem a wig and bring it back to life. Like I could get a cheap $5 wig and bring it back to life. Nothing some old fabric softener, water, and some TLC can't fix. I'm not really great at styling, but I do know how to style hair to a certain degree when it comes to wigs, right? I'm not like one of those people who are like amazing at it, but I was good-ish. Let's see how great I am literally 4 years later. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to end this now. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.